Yvonne, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor Freeland.
Here.
Vice Mayor Robert Freeland.
Here.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Here.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Here.
Councilwoman Brandy Pierson.
Here.
Town Attorney Scott Simpson.
Here.
Town Planner Mark Brett.
Here.
Deputy Clerk Brian Smith. Volusia County Sheriff is present. And I'm present.
All right. Lenny, would you please lead us in an invocation, please?
Gladly, sir.
Thank you.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we come to you tonight with great thanks for another beautiful day you have bestowed upon our precious community. Dear Lord, I ask that you continually bless and protect our citizens, and please bestow special blessings upon this council, our administrative staff, and anyone involved in the inner workings of our great town. Dear Lord, I ask tonight that you please grant us the wisdom and the knowledge to make the best decision for our precious town as a whole. And dear Lord, I ask tonight to please continue to bless the United States of America. And I ask these things in your great name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item of business tonight is the approval of some minutes. We have two sets of minutes to approve. The regular meeting minutes from February the 17th and a workshop meeting from February the 12th. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? Any changes, additions, deletions? Mayor would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the regular meeting minutes from February 17th, 2026, and the workshop meeting minutes from February 12th, 2026.
Motion on the floor by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson to approve the regular meeting minutes on February the 17th, 2026, and our workshop meeting minutes for February the 12th, 2026. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Brandy Pierson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So carried. Under new business, item 5, the first order of new business is the second reading on ordinance 2026-01. It's the parking of boats and RVs. And I would like to turn this over to our attorney, Scott Simpson, please.
Ordinance number 2026-01 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the Town of Pierson, Florida, amending the Unified Land Development Regulations of the Town of Pierson by amending Article 6, Section 6.4.10, off-street parking, adding a new subsection G, parking of boats and recreational vehicles, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date.
Okay. Is there anybody on the board that has any questions or comments or anything about this? No? Anybody in the audience that has any questions on this ordinance? All right, being no questions, Yvonne, would you do?
I move to approve.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
Ordinance 2026-01 on its second reading.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland to approve ordinance 2026-01 on the second reading. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. Yvonne, would you give a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson.
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Freeland.
Yes.
Mayor Ray Leonard.
Yes. Let the record show that the second reading of ordinance 2026-01 was passed by a roll call vote. Moving on to item number 5B, this ordinance 2026-04. It's amendments to our personnel regulations, and this is the second reading, and I'm going to ask Scott to go over that, please.
Ordinance number 2026-04 by title only for second and final reading. An ordinance of the Town of Pierson, Florida, proposing amendments to the Code of Ordinances of the Town of Pierson, revising personnel regulations, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date.
Okay, let the record show was 2026-04 was read by our attorney. Is there anybody that has any discussion or anything about this? Is anybody in the audience would like any questions about our personnel rules or anything? Okay, our chair would entertain a motion, or the mayor would.
Move to approve ordinance 2026-04 on its second and final reading.
All right, there's a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson to approve ordinance 2026-04 on its second reading. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Brandy Peterson. Yvonne, would you do a roll call vote on this, please?
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Brandy Peterson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lenny Richardson?
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Freeman?
Yes.
Mayor Ray Leonard?
Yes. Let the record show that ordinance 2026-04 was passed by a roll call vote. All right. Moving on to item number 5C, it's an AMI meter pilot program, and I'd like to call Sean Siebert up so he can inform us about this. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, guys. Thank you, residents. My name is Sean Siebert. I'm with a company called State Line Waterworks. We are the distributor here in Florida for Next Meter. And with one of your neighbors, town of Willaca, we are piloting and we'll soon to hopefully go full scale with our metering solution. And with what we're doing there, we were blessed to be able to meet with these folks here and explain what we're doing there and why they're choosing our product, our little cash registers here, and probably went really far in depth, but wanted to propose to you all a couple of opportunities. One of those is the pilot. Basically with the pilot, you're able to try out our solution at its fullest without having to invest fully into it, being able to utilize the technology for 90 days, not sign a contract. Sometimes with contracts and long-term fees and whatnot, reoccurring fees, it's hard to try out a product like that, especially for your infrastructure. Some of the uniqueness with our solution here, I'll highlight just a couple of them, just so that you can understand how we differentiate from others in our industry. First and foremost, accuracy. Our meters are industry-leading accurate. They start at a 0.01 gallon per minute low flow. That is a toilet leak, toilet flush, hose bib outside back. It is a low flow that is typically not captured by mechanical meters, which is what is in the field right now. Not saying anything wrong there with the mechanical meters. What I mean by mechanical, inside the flow tube here is a plastic measuring chamber that moves around, that makes the dials move. With our meters, it actually has no moving parts. It's a full flow tube, open flow tube, and it sends a sound wave actually through the sensors every second, and that is converted into gallons. And when you don't have parts in there that are moving, you're able to get a lower accuracy. So you've got accuracy with the meter and then reliability. So with mechanical meters or typical meters, those come with a 10 full year, 10 prorated warranty. That's great. That's a 20-year warranty with half of it being full. Some manufacturers will allow a 15 full 5 prorated, but you have to pay an extra cost for that, which is still great. So, but with us, we offer a minimum 15 full year 5 prorated at no extra cost. If you bundle ours, and I'll go into this a little bit further, if you bundle ours with a 20-year cellular fee and software fee, you'll actually get a 20 full year warranty. Anything goes wrong with this meter in 20 years, we'll swap it out. Very good reliability there from an investment perspective. You can kind of sit back and say, okay, I mean, if something does go wrong here, we are covered. This is not just speccing something into the system and hoping it works. It's an investment for a long term. And it changes your operation, actually. And that'll bring me into how it communicates. So what this meter can do, it has multiple forms of communication, but the one that we are offering first is cellular. All of the reads will go to a cell tower. It'll talk to the local cell towers, and it'll send in the reads into the computer here in the office. It can go into any computer actually that has access to the web. The software is web-based. So 2 times a day, all of the reads, alarms, everything that this meter stores, down to leak alarms, backflow, battery alarms, 15-minute intervals of usage is sent into your office, into your computer. So if you're thinking about that, if it's already sending stuff in, what do my meter readers need to do? Well, they don't have to go out and meter read it. Now you can change that role for that personnel into upkeep for the system. I don't know, that could be backflows, it could be actuating hydrants, it could be just focusing on things instead of having to go around manually writing down or anything like that. We know sometimes a 3 can look like an 8, 0 looks like an 8. So with automated data, you're able to trust not only what correct reads are coming in, you're also able to get real-time alarms. You're able to basically see what's happening at that meter right now without having to go to it just by signing into the office. With the cell towers, we can link into 4 of the major providers: T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, US Cellular. If Mother Nature wants to come around and or one of the providers wants to work on their cell tower and it goes down, you probably think, okay, well then how do I get all my data and everything? Backup forms of communication. You can put what's called a solar panel collector out there where you don't have to provide power to it. You can put on a tree, tower, building, it'll collect the reads and send them in. If you don't want to do that, the drive-by communication is always on, which means you can put a little device in a vehicle and you can drive around and collect all the reads. There's also the ability to use your phone and send in reads if you want to walk around and get it. So all of those communications is to basically show you worst case scenario, I have backup upon backup in case something goes down. It's a really good form of reliability. Cellular is just growing and growing, and we've already done what's called a coverage map for your area, and you guys are fully covered with all 4 of the providers. The next unique feature I'll say is the software. We have what's called universal billing integration, which means whatever billing software you guys have right now, our reading software will integrate with it, which means whenever it comes down to billing day, you'll just click a couple of buttons. You'll press send, and it'll send everything into billing. When that person has done that, a couple of minutes, they have done everything of meter reading, capturing all the alarms, and sent everything into billing, all within just a couple of minutes. That will definitely change some roles. I'm not sure exactly how long reading takes, maybe a day or 2, things like that. But everything then would be automated, seamlessly automated. Another great thing with the software, yes, it's web-based, so any computer can log into it. You just have to use your login credentials, of course. There is what's called a customer portal. So this is really good for the residents. It is the ability for the residents to be able to have transparency of their usage as well. They're able to see graphs and their average usage and the alarms that are out there. It's a nice little login for them to get a snapshot of what the reading software, what the billing clerk can see in the office. It also allows, if a tenant wants to go on vacation or if they're a snowbird, they can set a parameter and say, 10 gallons goes through my meter, I want to be notified. It's all to conserve water, truly. It's not to try and provide a higher bill because you have a more accurate meter or anything like that. It's so that you guys can, I don't want to say control your revenue, but at least maximize your revenue from water, but also so that the residents knows, okay, I can see in these 15-minute intervals, I did use this much, but they can be proactive instead of reactive. They can look at it and say, oh my goodness, why would I get an email about a leak? And then maybe go around back and the hose was going or something. Again, it's to conserve water. It's to invest in something that you can trust for the duration of what it says it can do, all of its operations. And there was another thing with the bill. A unique feature. If someone wants to come into the office and say, hey, I have a question about my bill. I want to know exactly what's on the meter right now. You actually can click a button. It'll talk to the meter within a minute and then bring you that usage. And that can be good for transferring an account or something like that. Or it's just full transparency right then and there to your customer. Instead of having to wait one time each month until the next time that you go out and do your meters. Everything is right now. And then what we presented to you, like I said, is 2 quotes. One, so you can see a full scale, in case you want to do the whole system. I'm not trying to say to do the whole system. Every 1 meter you put in is a benefit. It could be 1 meter at a time, 10 at a time. It's on your guys' schedule, as well as budget, of course. And then, of course, the pilot is, like I said, an opportunity to use this with its fullest capabilities without having to sign a contract. You just put this meter in, and the software and the cell towers can do everything else. I could go on for hours, so I tried to cover a lot in just that, but I'm very willing to answer questions. But please, if there's something I missed, let me know. Any questions to you guys as well.
I'm curious if the state of Florida has contacted your company in regards to water savings over, and if so, is the Florida legislature willing to possibly award grants to municipalities wanting to convert to these meters? Because this is a big cost for
Absolutely. I
for
totally
Pierson.
understand that. There are
Huge cost.
many ways from a funding perspective. FRWA, they do, it's a 1-page application for grants. That is always a good go-to. FRWA, I believe, deals with municipalities that are under a certain number of residents. And I know you guys would fall in line with that, so I highly recommend that. I would be
They're members of the Florida Rural Water.
Perfect. And I know your representative would be very willing to talk into that.
So, Mark actually gave me Sean's contact info. Mark heard him speak at the town meeting. And one of the reasons that I reached out is because we kind of discussed in the office, our next grant might be water improvements and upgrades. Our big issue right now is accuracy of meter reads. I fixed 4 huge bills today. That is becoming a bigger part of my it's not just the reading, it's the rereading, and is this correct? And like Sean said, they read them, and then 2 weeks passes before the bill, and then another week passes before the bill gets received in the mail. So then by the time that customer comes in, 3 weeks has passed, and we have no idea what the read was 3 weeks ago, if it was read. There's a lot of guesswork. Anyway, I could go on about it, but our big thing was this would take a lot of the human error out of it. It would take a lot of the time out of it. The boys come in all the time and tell us we can't read that meter, it's underwater. The glass is falling. A dog chasing. There's a snake in the meter. I mean, every month. And so we estimate bills, we skip bills. So I had actually reached out to Florida Rural Water because Lake Helen a couple years ago, or a year ago, had a huge problem with their water bill. And I don't want to sell that. They had a water billing issue and they only billed quarterly. And when they finally caught it, some of their residents had thousands and thousands of bills. So Lake Helen actually was able to get a grant through Florida Rural Water to upgrade all of their meters for like $500,000. And Florida Rural Water used a combination of, I want to to say either they had grant money or St. John River Water Management had money, and then they paired that with money from the state revolving fund, the Clean Water Fund, which we currently don't have a grant open. So Florida Rural Water was under the impression we should probably get it through Clean Water, through DEP. So I have reached out to them, so the reason we want Sean to come and speak is we trial it, 10 meters for 90 days. It would give us an idea, we put them in places where we know there's problems and compare historical usage to that 90 days and see if it's accurate, if it's work better. And then if so, and we want to proceed, then we would sit down with Florida Rural Water and discuss, grant opportunities. But we have reached out to them. Obviously, we're not going to pay for that.
We can't.
All out of the
Right, yeah.
And there's Safe Drinking Water Act. FRWA is where I would say number one to go to. They're very good at what they do. There's other opportunities like co-bank and government capital, some lending opportunities, which we can easily provide you with. But like I said, this is an investment. It does have a price tag. We hope that with what we can offer with the pilot lets you get a little glimpse of what is out there without having to fully invest in it. If you were to do the pilot, you're not then automatically into the cellular fees, the software fees, or anything like that. Your meter readers can go back, the largest LCD display can go back to exactly how they were doing that, and let's just say later on down the road you want to kick it back on and read from the cell tower or something, you can't. So, in worst case scenario, you are purchasing at a discounted price, industry leading meter, immediately if you have it. Yes.
And each customer could have an app on their cell phone, is that correct? So they can keep up with what's happening? Okay.
And of course, the web. Login.
Well, if they had their app and everything's installed properly, if they did have a leak, they would be notified on their cell phone, correct?
Yep, and they can regulate their alarm parameters or what types of alarms they want. Like if maybe someone has irrigation,
Right.
and that will cause what's called a burst alarm. It shouldn't do a leak alarm because a leak is usually for 60 minutes, no zero consumption of 60 minutes or something like that. Some cookies run irrigation. Yes, so it can be controlled by the customer. That doesn't affect anything with the utility.
Right.
So, but
It's just informative for that specific customer.
very informative. Allows transparency. So now they can see what you guys can see.
I will say that when I worked at Norman, we had a building in Norman that every month was going up exponentially. Three-story commercial office building, we couldn't figure out why. So we called the city of Norman, and the city of Norman had this type of meter, and they said they gave us a graph, she gave me a graph, she showed every night at 1 a.m. They were using thousands of gallons every few minutes. And it was some kind of timer we kicked on, an irrigation line outside was broke, so every night we were trying to water the courtyard or whatever, it was just pouring out, no one knew. But she was able to say, okay, it's 1 a.m., or there's someone who's building at 1 a.m., and that helped us isolate what was actually wrong. So right now, people come in with a high bill, and all we can do is check our side of the meter and say, well, it's not us, it's you. But it would be nice if you could look at 15-minute increments and say, here's where your problem is. It's constant, it's sporadic, it's, am I helping air down, it's toilet,
How much are we currently paying for a meter? I mean,
they're not that much different.
right.
Because we used to use the manual style he was talking about, also an AMI or AMR, which is like a broadband system. Ferguson, when we get our stuff, basically told us we don't do the full manual, so we have to buy the hybrid. You're already paying $200.
I mean, in the full quote for all 700, it comes out $435 a meter, which isn't bad to me. I mean, yeah, I know that's a lot of money all at one time, but in the big, you're saving money on, you would be saving money on the guys reading meters every week. And then another question I had was, we have a contract currently with Verizon because we have a 5G on our water tower for them. Is that something we can work out where we can get that price lower? The internet side? Just a question.
I would have to speak with the manufacturer on that. I believe that form of cellular communication is different. There's a SIM card in your phone, and the SIM card in here, they work differently. They have a different frequency that speaks with one another. I don't think that there would be anything there. That number, and I didn't even remember that number, that 430 something you said.
Yeah, 35.
That all-in price is an upfront fee that covers. So we offer a cellular and a software, okay? And that can either be a monthly, annual, 10-year, or 20-year, and that is a locked-in price. And if you were to do that, I think I quoted a 10-year.
Yeah.
So that means that 430 something is that you only pay that, and you don't have to pay a recurring fee for 10 years. So calculating that between, when you guys aren't doing any I just wanted to make sure that you understood that there's not a recurring fee next year or anything like that.
Right, it's all the way.
I can look into, what you have.
I was just curious because we already have a contract where they're paying us for their usage of our water tower. If we can work out a deal with them.
I like the idea, and I will definitely try to investigate that.
Yeah.
They may come back and say, well, that is specific for
you,
emergency, it's
right?
specific for that, and because our manufacturer has a deal with all of the providers, that may have to be something separate.
Right.
I'm not 100% sure, but very willing to look into it.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. Good question.
So we can get a trial deal of 10 meters for $2,500 for 90 days.
Correct, yes, and then you could keep the meter after, and use it, if you didn't want to, start investing in the software or cellular, you can go around and manually read it. It actually is still storing all the data within, and will speak whenever it's told to speak to the software, but you would be able to keep the meter after, and technically we would have our minimum, which would be the 15 4-year 5 program if you want to keep it. So it's not I give it to you, then I get it back after the 90 days. You keep it.
Keep it, we'll keep the 10
It's all yours.
for $2,500. I think it's something maybe we ought to look at.
I think we should explore
At least do the trial.
I think we need to look at it all.
We are having a big problem with these meters. They're getting old.
We can probably discuss this further in our workshop.
Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Yep.
And we're very willing to offer training, look at the software, or in person, do whatever. In order to invest in something, you should be able to see the whole story of it, right? And we're very willing to offer that, however, it makes it easy to say.
Okay.
It's an investment, so take your time and do the research, the proper research. I totally understand.
Would be to put them in places that we traditionally have problems with, like Lynn Haven where they're underwater or something.
Yep.
And like, when Sean came and talked to us, he basically said, like right now we have a problem, sometimes we just skip. We had a problem a few weeks ago where someone had read a meter for 2 years, they thought how it was vacant, but it wasn't, and then it got read for the first time in 2 years, and she put $1,000 thousands of dollars on the bill. In this scenario, you would have X number of meters in the field, and the software, correct me if I'm wrong, will tell you if one didn't get read or something. So when you did your billing every month, it would say, hey, these 5 meters didn't give us a reading, and that would trigger either the boys to go out and see what's wrong with it, someone parked on it, the battery dead, whatever the case may be. But then every month you would know that every meter you had in the field was accounted for and billed. Right now, we don't have it.
Technically, but to make it easier to understand, every time you log into the software, you have just done a full system meter, basically. You're able to look at that data. The reads come in twice a day, but however, you've got the full history of it. So are your meter, there are active alarms that do come in if a leak does happen. Backflow, the temperature, it actually knows the temperature of the outside of the setting is too hot or something. There are what's called active alarms. Those will trigger immediately so that you're notified immediately and won't wait till that next round of reads comes. And they are also what's called IP68 rated, which means they can be fully submerged underwater. The internals will not get affected by that, and it'll still try and send out its signal. What we will have offered with it is what's called a pin tab. It's plugged into the meter here, little cable, and it has an antenna, a flat antenna that sits on top of the meter lid. The reason why we have that is it takes, instead of the signal coming from the meter right here in the meter box, it brings it right outside of the meter box, which helps with reception. So, you use that water going on and everything. You've got batteries in here, you're like, how does that work? Fully potted, and then adding that antenna.
How long is the battery life?
So they say about 28 years is what they're testing it for. That's why we're able to do a full 20-year warranty on it with that certain plant. But yeah, they're estimating around 20 years. It actually has 3 batteries inside. And your software also knows the status of the battery level.
Okay, the battery life, in other words.
Absolutely. You'll get notified. You first see it, like go into it settings and see it, but it has an alarm that'll tell you, hey, you've got 3 months left. Just have one on hand, get ready. If that's under a warranty, if that's within the 15 or 20, then you let me know and swap it out.
And the nice thing is our boys can install.
Right.
It's not back in the day where you have somebody
Don't need an engineer to install it.
Correct.
so we can order and review it, just like we do normally.
And we have 9 branches, so like lead time stocking, that won't be an issue. It's not like we will have a replacement if you run into needing a replacement. And we have a full metering department that's dedicated to just virtually monitoring your system in the background for you. We look at it 2 times a week. We just see how well it's connected. Sometimes we'll notify utility, hey, there's 3 meters way out here. They didn't really know what happened. Oh yeah, actually our truck was parked over the meter box. It couldn't send its signal out, and then it popped on. So there's support not only from the manufacturer but from us as a distributor and everything like that.
Well, I'd like to comment that you did a fine presentation, but as for Pierson, I'm afraid it's all going to depend on grant money.
Absolutely.
Because this is a big price, big price to jump into. But I am looking forward to the pilot program to see how these meters work.
And please don't, that is also a quotation per one quantity, if you needed to look at it that way as well. If you don't have to buy it all at once.
Right.
If you wanted to do 10 meters every 3 months, something to go along with your budget, I'm all happy. That price is good for any scenario of your purchasing. Okay. But thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Great
Sean.
presentation, Sean.
Okay, moving on to item number 5.
You don't want to act on this tonight?
I don't think we need to act on it tonight. I'd rather wait till after our workshop and then maybe act on it at the next council meeting. I mean, that's up to the council. If you think we want to act on it tonight, then,
I don't see putting it, why we should put it off.
okay,
Mayor, I just assume go ahead.
I'd like to do the 10,
okay.
the pilot.
Well,
deal.
I make a motion that we go with Stay Line and do the pilot program with them, which consists of 10 of the updated meters at a cost of $2,500.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland to try this pilot program with Stay Line meters in the amount of $2,500. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lenny Richardson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this pilot program and maybe move on from there. All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. That being said, let's move on to item number 5D. We have some quotes for repairs to our cafeteria. I'm going to turn that over to Deputy Clerk Ryan.
It isn't all you, Ryan.
We talked about doing some repairs in the cafeteria. They're a little pricey. This quote came from Donald Bowen, who did work here in the town center before. He came and talked to us. There's drywall that's damaged on the west wall. Well, first off, there's all that rubber trim on the bottom that's they call code stripping or something. We talked about removing that, so this quote is to repair the drywall on both sides of the cafeteria, repair the drywall in the background on the stage where that bare wall with all the staples is. He wants to drywall that. Pull the paneling down that's on the 2 rooms and replace that with drywall and actually close all that in. Remove all the rubber stripping off the things, and he wanted to replace it with vinyl trim board. He said it could, look like wood, but he didn't want to use real wood because it could get wet. Drywall in northwest and east walls, remove the paneling and install drywall in its place, and then replace all the baseboards in there. So total came to $7,400. And the only reason he included the drywall on the paneling is I asked him, can we just replace the paneling? It's full of staples. When they pulled all of the, they had like fire alarm stuff on the walls and they had internet cables run down the walls. When we pulled all that off, it ripped a bunch of the paneling and split it. And he told me you could put paneling back there, but he wouldn't. He said it just splinters and it's a mess. But we don't technically have to do that. We just quoted him to drywall. I think we had talked about leaving those rooms though. That way if you rented it out to people, you could lock up tables and supplies and stuff like that in there. And he also said he'd paint it if we wanted to paint it at whatever his hourly rate is. So you'd basically be redoing the entire inside of the one side, the cafeteria part. But the only reason we got this is because we knew that the League of Cities dinner was coming in the fall. So we wanted to get a jump on it if we're going to use the cafeteria for the League of Cities dinner. Otherwise, we have to address it.
I want to try to get some more quotes on this. That sounds like a lot for that little area to replace drywall.
Any idea who we can get quotes from?
If anyone will recommend contact.
I don't know, but I will, make
How
some
big an
calls.
area is it, Ryan?
Cafeteria.
The whole thing? Are we talking about the
No,
whole?
The whole sitting side,
The sitting part?
Yeah,
not the kitchen
not
side.
where the kitchen was, just the dining
Right.
part.
there's 2, like, up at the stage, there's 2 little rooms on either side of that stage, about, I don't know, 4 by 8 maybe.
No, they're bigger than that.
Are they?
Yeah, Yeah, they're probably
From
8
the
by 12.
entrance- From the entrance to the stages, 50 feet. So you're doing 50 feet, well, probably 40 feet of drywall on each side, that middle section between the furthest windows on that side. So you're doing that drywall, and then the stage itself, front to back, is 14 by, side to side is 22. So you figure half, well, yeah, probably, each of those rooms is probably 10 by 14, the little rooms on the
Yeah.
sides. So you're doing two walls on each 10 by 14 room.
That's 24 feet of drywall on each room,
Right, and
basically.
then the drywall in the back, which is what, 10 feet or 12 feet?
That's probably-
high, however high.
Yeah.
So then all the all the trim too, because the trim is the entire border of the whole room. So I don't know how.
Yeah, that baseboard trim, that would encompass almost the entire,
The material itself is not expensive, but it's the labor.
The labor.
It's a lot. He's got to pull all that other stuff off and try to remove that glue or whatever. So
Right.
that's probably why he put so much labor.
Yeah, and his rate,
And I can-
$80 an hour, and that
I can
covers
do-
himself and a helper.
Yeah, I can
Correct.
do multiple quotes. It's just when I ask around for people that do this kind of stuff locally, I never really get answers as to who does this kind of stuff.
Right.
You know. So if anyone's got, alternate contacts, reach out to them.
See if we can't find, get a few more quotes.
At least get
We'll-
one more
We'll try to
quote.
get at least one more quote.
Yes.
Possibly two. And then we can bring this back next.
is Randy Hutcherson still doing that type of work?
I believe so.
I mean, we could probably maybe reach out to him.
I mean, Brad Fender, Fender
Brad
drywall.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Who does? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Stephen, put up drywall. I think we can get several more
Yeah.
estimates, Brian, so let's, give us a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we come back with.
And we got Randy Hutcherson, Stephen Jones, and Fender drywall. We could probably at least,
And Mike Layfield.
and Mike Clayfield, yes. So there's 4 people there that we could reach out to.
Fender drywall and trim and stuff too.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Probably, I'm gonna guess no, but we can ask.
Being this is on the agenda regarding the cafeteria, I had a phone call today, and there's someone interested in leasing that cafeteria.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yes.
For like a long-term lease or?
Yeah, they want to
12-month
open
lease
a
or-
restaurant there.
She emailed us.
Pardon me, she emailed you?
It's another thing.
It's
Consider.
Solicious is who it is.
Oh, okay.
She's wanting to open up a restaurant there.
Wow.
The only thing is when she reached out to us last year, I think she thinks the kitchen still has, there's nothing in the kitchen. They removed all of it.
I see. Well,
But I mean, we'll tell her.
yeah, tell her that. Won't hurt for her to come up,
I
look
would
at it.
say give them an opportunity,
I think so.
Yeah.
but as far as the repair work goes, I think we need to at least reach out to a couple of these
Oh, yes,
I mean-
we'll definitely do that.
to see and get a quote from them. I mean,
Yeah.
I know Mr. Bowen does good work from, everything I've seen him do, but, I mean, we need to try to do as good as we can if we're going to get this done. All right.
I think we can come back with some more quotes in the next 2 weeks at our next meeting.
I hope so. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's table this until
Table.
the next meeting
Yep.
when we can hopefully have 1 or 2 more quotes.
Move to table. Item 5D, repairs to cafeteria equipment.
There's a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Freeman to table this at least to our next meeting until we can get some more quotes. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilwoman Lenny R. Richardson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So carried. Okay, moving on to item number 5E. We have some doors that are in need of replacement. The one of them in particular is the one down at North Road Park. I think it's the back door that goes into where the storage area is. The bottom of that door is like rotted off or rusted off. So we need to get that one. Where was this other door, Ryan? The second door? I'm not sure either, because the only door that I was talking about when we originally discussed this was the one at North Road Park.
I think there's two at North, aren't there? Isn't there a back door?
There's-
Each one of those buildings?
No, just one. Just one door.
Or where's the one at Chipper that needs to
I
be?
don't know, but Lewis said one of them was closed for the Chipper Buildings and one was for North Road. I don't know.
Okay, it must be the one that goes into the area where the controls are for the water system, for water the Little League fields and whatnot. I'm not sure about the one at Chipper Jones Park, but the one at North Road Park is in real bad shape.
Well, the one at North Road Park has been shot with the shotgun several times.
The back door has?
Yeah, it's been patched several times.
Well, I didn't know that. I just noticed that the bottom of it was
And
rotted
when
off.
you put another one on there, that's just gonna give them another target.
Well, so my question is, do you want to replace the door, or do you want to leave the door on there that the bottom of it's rusted off?
Well, it gets wet, it's gonna rust off anyway. Whatever you put there, if you put another metal one, it's gonna rust off. You put a wooden one there, it's gonna get wet and rot.
The
So
wood ones,
whichever way you wanna go,
the wood didn't last a year. We had to
No,
buy the
right.
metal ones for the North Road Park, for the front. We didn't buy the back
We
door.
didn't buy the back door.
Yeah.
How long will metal though realistically last?
If it's
I
kept
mean, that one's
painted,
been out there
it's,
30 years, right, or longer?
it'll last a long time if it's maintained.
Yvonne?
Okay, Lewis told me that door in specific, how it goes down on a slope when it rains, the water sits against that door. So he said if we replaced it, we should probably maybe think of another way of rerouting the water so it does not sit there at that door.
Well, if the water's sitting in that door, that means it's probably sitting in that storage room. If that's the case, we probably need to think about
Reroute the water.
grading that a little bit and rerouting that water so it doesn't sit there.
If that's the case, I think we need to go look at that and figure out what the best fix is
Okay?
before we act on buying.
Before we go buy a new door, we
Yeah.
need to eliminate the water
Eliminate the
problem.
problem.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I agree with that.
I wasn't aware of that.
I wasn't aware that water stood there like that either, to be honest with you.
Sits there.
But there's gotta be a way that water can be rerouted.
you can dig a trench, put rock in it,
Rocket right.
right back out to the drain that goes to that retention pond.
Okay, well, we need to look at that and address that before we do anything else. Okay, so we'll hold off on any doors then until we can check out what the
Check
drainage
out the
issue is
drainage
there.
problem. Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and move on then to item number 5F, special counsel services related to the solid waste assessment, and I'm going to turn this over to Ryan.
Actually, Scott can probably talk about this a little bit too. So we had talked about this early on when we did the trash thing. The very first year you do it, we really want to set the assessment up correctly. So Scott had put us in touch with Christopher Rowe. He's an attorney who does this kind of stuff. So Chris basically sent us a contract, and I want to say it's like, I think he quoted it as $3,500. It may not be that much. But basically, it's just a services contract for him to do all of the legals for the assessment, to make sure that it's done correctly the first year. and we should only have to do it, hopefully, like Scott said,
One time.
but it's just to make sure that it's set up properly, that we haven't missed anything, that any ordinance requirements or, whatever are met. So we actually talked to him last year, and he's actually the one who wrote the resolution that we passed last year. He presented that as a review for us. But we told him we would probably require his services for the remainder. So, because there's still several things we have to do before training. To make sure this is right. So, I think it's $350 per hour. He estimated 10 hours.
It's gotta be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta be done.
Resolutions necessary to implement the solid waste assessments and any related public or landowner notices for publication and mailing. So,
I would highly recommend it. Retaining an attorney, I've worked with Chris, he does assessments and also bond counsel work. So he's heavily into that financial arena. And he's the bond counsel for Holly Hill. And I believe Lake Helen went out and got proposals from various bond councils when they set up their fire assessment back in 2015-16. And his was by far then the most reasonable assessment or charge, for it. There was some other ones wanted to go through, it's called a validation process where you go to court and the court declares it valid, and it was $40,000-$50,000, and that was 10 years ago. So he's very reasonable, works good, he'll do what's necessary to get it set up, and then each year he'll contact to say, do you need any help as that assessment comes up, and that's up to y'all, if you need any help. But a lot of it, once you get it set up, a lot of it kind of becomes formal. You just readopt the same assessment information, but you'll have the new dollar amount from the hauler. You just plug those numbers in. But so I would highly recommend it certainly for the first year, because if you don't set up your resolution, your assessment right with the ordinances and the resolution, if you don't do it right the first time, and then you don't have a valid assessment, and you're already going to be 6 months into paying for a contractor, that you need to collect that back from the residents. So then you turn around and you have to go through and set it up as a user fee through the way before it was set up where it was billed by the hauler. You wouldn't be able to do that since we piggyback the county. You would have to then go through and you would have to bill them, set up a billing system monthly to bill the residents monthly for that. And that's what this assessment avoids. You bill them one time and they pay one time on their tax bill. So my recommendation is that you should do this. It's just, it's one of those things where, I guess to put it bluntly, you just don't want to screw it up the first time. When you start, you want to start on the right foot.
Yeah.
And it's very valuable to.
What's this gentleman's name?
Chris Rowe.
Chris.
well,
Okay.
technically, he's already gotten started.
Yeah, he already
We had a
helped.
meeting, and he drafted the notice of
Yeah.
intent and all that. So-
But it's the Bryant Miller Olive
Law firm. Yep.
Okay,
I'll make a motion that we retain the Bryant Miller Olive Law Firm in regards to our solid waste assessment for the first year anyway, at a billing at a rate of $350 per hour.
I would just say just retain them, use them as much
Yeah,
as you want.
just retain.
Just retain them at $350, and then you may never use them again after the first year, but you retained them, so if you do use them, you don't have to go through the retaining them process.
So moved.
Okay, motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert Greenland to retain the Bryant Miller Law Firm, and also Chris Rowe to give us our legal assistance through our assessment of the solid waste plant. Is there a second?
I second it.
Seconded by Jimmy Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so carried. The next thing is item 5G. It's a discussion on a procurement policy for the town of Pierson. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is we need to set up some type of a spending authorization or spending level that our clerks can function with, rather than having to come to council and have a special approval to like buy something for $500 or $300 or whatever the case may be. And I just wanted to know how you guys felt about that, and any suggestions on an amount that we can authorize them to spend without council approval. How do y'all feel about that?
My suggestion, I hadn't talked to the mayor about this.
Okay.
But my suggestion would be, if that's something that you all want to consider setting up, which I would recommend that you do, we can kind of do a survey of the cities. Staff can pull together to see what are the purchasing thresholds. The bigger the city, the bigger the budget, the bigger the purchasing. So I would say look at Lake Helen, Oak Hill, smaller cities, similar comparable to your size. What are their thresholds? And typically what you see, it starts, what I've always seen is it starts with a verbal quote, 3 verbal quotes, a written quote, 3 written quotes, and then it has to go out for an RFP. And then there's different thresholds of when you get to that dollar amount. It could be, some of them, I think what you're probably going to see is, once you go over $10,000, it's got to go out for an RFP.
Yeah.
For proposals to come in.
10 or 25, I thought it was 25.
Well, it depends on what city you're talking about. I'm just talking about in cities like.
I got you.
I think like Oak Hill and Lake Helen may be around 10, but we can pull that information together for you.
State law actually goes quite high, though, right?
What's that?
I mean, under state law, it goes quite high. Most
yeah.
cities are smaller, but you can actually, under state law, go quite high before you're required to go out to bid.
Yeah, you can. And there's some things, like if you're going to retain an engineer, that comes under the Consultants Competitive Negotiation Act, totally separate state law. You got to follow that when you get engineering services. What you typically see is, the way I typically see these things written, and I write them, is if it's within your budget, it's within the budget that you set for that particular item or within that category, then the purchasing authority, they use the purchasing authority to see how we're going to spend the money that you've already budgeted for that. If there isn't money budgeted for this, or we've already exceeded this, even if they can do it within the purchasing authority, they have to come back to you to go over the budget amount. There's got to be an allocation of funds at some point where you allocate money to that line item so it's properly budgeted so they can spend it. So what we're talking about here is how do we spend money you've already budgeted? And there's typically, the higher it goes, the more you're required. Is it a verbal? Is it 3 verbals? Is it written, 3 written, or RFP? And then you're always given the opportunity to waive the formal bidding process. Piggybacking is one of those ways that, or if you're dealing with a sole source, we're going out for, it's not practical to go out if there's only one person who provides this product. Sometimes that happens, and typically there's a catch-all phrase that says, or if it's otherwise determined to be in the best interest of the city by the council, you don't have to go out. But you have to make that decision. Staff doesn't make that decision. Y'all make it to say, all right, we're piggybacking, or we're going to declare this a sole source, or there's something unique here. We need to waive the normal bidding process. And then lastly, you'll see emergency purchases too. Sometimes there's an emergency where staff will be given authority to go above, but they have to immediately come back and get approval for what they spent at the next meeting. So there's typically what you're going to see in the purchasing ordinance. But if you want to entertain something like that, no need to reinvent the wheel. Every city has purchasing ordinances. We can get some smaller cities, comparable cities, let you look at what theirs are, and you can set the dollar threshold and whatever you want.
Scott, we're going to include accounts too, like for instance, we have, as far as I know, under each council person to authorize up to $500. I've never seen that. Can those parameters be put in the council as well as staff?
Maybe,
just so we have that document.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the sunshine law, but I guess if they adopt a law that gives them the authority to spend up to a certain amount per year,
Per purchase.
or purchase.
So in other words, if you go to one council person and say this is $500, they're allowed to authorize up to $500 if there's an emergency. That way you don't have to call a special meeting.
Yeah, or you give it to, I mean, that, what you're talking about is almost setting up a backstop to say, instead of giving staff that authority,
Right.
staff with the approval of the mayor or vice mayor or one council member, as long as they sign off of it, the staff in an emergency situation can go above. Well, yeah, we can word it that way.
Yes, we're
And I
talking,
think that's what Gray was alluding to.
Yeah, that would be,
Day-to-day,
yeah.
yes.
Well, there's day-to-day and there's emergency. That's two different things. I was talking about emergencies. Day-to-day, yeah, you will set it up where office supplies. Okay, look, staff, you can go up to $500 on office supplies as long as we're within budget. You can go do that. You can order it from Amazon, and you decide, But if you're going to spend office supplies, if you're going to go get a desk, we want you to shop around a little bit. It's budgeted for $1,500, but we want you to get 3 verbal quotes. Go get 3 quotes, whether online or whatever the case may be, so we can price shop. More or less what y'all just discussed here on these items before this. You kind of talked about it here. That's the
I
same
think what I'm
concept.
relating to is like everyday office supply purchases and things like that. I mean, things that are consumable. I mean, you're going to have to replace them. You're going to have to use them. It's not like somebody decides they want to buy a new desk for.
Right, yes.
Yeah, ours, we're trying to get to is like, let's say one of the boys is driving somewhere, like they go to Lowe's to get supplies, and they blow out a tire, and they need a new tire, we need to be able to say,
So-
not come back.
So does that not
bring it to
happen?
council, and then get it.
Well, and it's kind of.
It's just kind of an example.
It happens on a weird, there's no consistency to it. So in other words, Public Works, their truck messes up and they take it to Jeremy and they say, here, fix this. And then Jeremy sends us an invoice for $2,400. Well, no one really authorized him to do that, but he had to. I mean, you need the truck.
It had to be repaired.
But there's just like no formal process where we're allowed to say, okay, hey, in this instance, if it's an emergency, we can authorize this. If,
No.
we have to buy supplies for the park,
Yeah, like
Ron
every 3
gets-
months, I buy supplies
When
for
Ron
all
gets
the
like toilet
months.
paper, it's like $600 for toilet paper and paper towels and soap and.
But does that come back
We
here?
don't bring it to council.
No, council, I
So does it
think
come here
we
anyway?
just need those things.
But I'm saying it never comes here for approval anyway.
No.
No,
As long as
not,
it's within your budget.
Like that, no.
Something that's like written now.
So you like to have, but a purchasing ordinance that says, look, you can up to a certain dollar amount if you're within budget, you can do it.
Or if they're,
Like,
standard operating supplies
yeah,
versus
like
something out
that,
of
it's
the
not
ordinary.
these things that.
I think we can come up with something that doesn't take the Supreme Court to figure out.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
they're usually pretty easy.
Lewis's truck dies, and he says, I dropped it
Exactly.
off to Jeremy.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to wait 2 weeks to.
So you want us to bring you back
it
some
to you
samples?
all, Or is there some sort of,
Well,
he needs a truck.
So you also have to keep in mind that like if you call a special meeting, on top of the money that we're paying for whatever item we approve, we're also paying 5 council.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah.
For 5 minutes.
So then you're like, okay, well, did
Yeah.
we really need to have that meeting when we could have just said, hey, this mower needs to be repaired, just repair it?
I think any emergency with any of our equipment, breakdown or anything, in regards to the running of the town of Pierson, that the clerk's office should have the authority to authorize the
A necessity.
the whatever it takes to get it going again,
Within budget.
within budget.
Yeah, I agree.
Within budget.
I mean, obviously, if it breaks down, it's going to cost as much
Yeah.
as a new one, well, then.
Yeah,
we-
there's no
we can talk
sense,
about
there's
that.
no sense in calling a special meeting.
I agree
paying us for
100%.
that, yeah, we're just, yeah. I really don't think we need to look at anybody, to be honest with you. God, I really do.
I don't either.
We can cobble something together. from
Whatever,
different ones and-
anything, any breakdown that causes disruption to the operations of the town of Pierson, which is our our employees, that the clerk's office should be authorized to make that decision and not have to come to council.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the day-to-day operating procedures.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah, just something.
Mary Kay?
yes, ma'am.
Yes, Mary Kay Hansen, 267 Washington Avenue. When you do that though, would it be like you need dual signatures on something? Because you don't want to give just one person that leeway to just go, you had issues in the past with haywire.
That's true.
Ultimately,
This-
the purchase of the check requires 2 council signatures anyway, so they'll ultimately see the bill.
Not that, I'm saying.
Yeah,
no, but they'll still see the bill anyway. For accountability, you guys, if, you know, we want them to do something, Ryan says, okay, yeah, we need that, so you guys both sign off on it, and, you know, it's like, okay, we need.
I mean, it's not that the council won't know about it, it's just, let's do it, and then we can notify them at the next meeting, hey, by the way, this
Not
broke
wait on
down.
it. Yeah. Okay.
Rather than call a special meeting, which has like a 24-hour, you know, gotta give the public notice, and it's just a lot of extra work, you know, like, a good example is we had Brian Dixon down at Red today because of toilet bowl. We just authorized him to do it because it's an emergency.
It's gotta be done,
It
yes.
costs more than $500, but I mean, you.
It's got to be
What else
done.
are we gonna do? We're gonna call a meeting, you know? So-
And not just that, Mary Kay, any bill that comes through that we have to sign a check for or anything, 2 people are going to have to sign it. And believe me, when I look at one and I go, what was this for? I mean, we question it already. I mean, so, and it's got to have 2 signatures before it's paid, regardless.
Yeah, none of our,
Checks and balances,
none of the
checks and
staff
balances.
names are on account, so the council has to approve
Yeah.
all the checks.
All right. Anything else on this? Moving on to item number 5H, solid waste receptacle quote. Ryan?
Okay.
More money.
More money, more money.
We need to call this meeting.
I'm gonna stop. This is another one, you're just gonna have to, it's one of those things you have to chalk up to a necessity. So we talked about this before. Receptacles for trash. So, first and foremost, trash, I don't know if everyone here got it. We picked it up yesterday. Yesterday was our first day with FCC. But last week when GFL collected for the last time, they took all the recycled bins that were left out with them, and they also took a pretty good percentage of the 96-gallon container, even though our contract states that they were supposed to belong to us after. So, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. They picked up one person's can and then the neighbors got left. We don't know. So Marcy's already got a page full of people who need either a can or a recycle bin or both. So I reached out, Sierra Container Group is who supplies containers for the county and for FCC. So, and we had talked about this before, they're about $50 a container by the time you add in freight and everything. So normally the 96-gallon, the big container that they use, normally you have to order at least a half a load, which is 351 containers. SEC spoke to them and explained their situation, and they agreed that they would do 260 for us because we told them we thought we had about 260 customers who probably didn't have cans based on the old GFL numbers that people do supposedly get. So he originally gave me a quote for 260 of them. With freight and everything added in, it's $13,455 clean, and that works out to $51.75. I did some research through Lowe's and Home Depot, places like that. The cheapest 96-gallon can you can go to a big box store and buy is about $100. So they're still considerably cheaper for residents. Obviously, we talked about we have to supply people that didn't have one, but getting ahead of myself. My thought is the price difference between 260 and 351, it's like $4,000. But it brings your can cost down to even $50. And then if residents wanted to purchase a new can from us, Scott, maybe you could chime in, but is that a problem? Could we sell residents cans if we buy extra cans?
No, if that's the policy that's adopted. Sure.
And then I was thinking you could buy the 351 and then, because there's a lot of people that have come and said, yeah, I have a can, but it's old, it's broken, I want a new can, and all of the cans are $50. And it's still considerably cheaper than you buying them from the store. These will be Pierson branded, they're dark green, they have a logo on them. So 260 would probably get you started with the residents that don't have one that need one. But like I said, if you ordered the full half load, you have extra ones you can store. When you talk to the boys, you can store some at the old firehouse. And right now, since we're not renting the cafeteria, you can technically store them in the cafeteria side because that's huge open, it's inside where they wouldn't get wet or damaged. And then as residents need them, they can come to town hall and pick one up, or we can deliver one, whatever's easiest for people. And then recycle bins. This quote's for 600 recycle bins. They're not labeled, they're just a generic recycle bin. 600 of them, $7,800. It comes out to $13. So, I don't know if that's a minimum order. I'm assuming he probably just based the 600 number on the fact that we had about 570 accounts. So, that's up to you guys if you want to start with the 260, but then if you ever have to turn around and order another, 100 and something, in other words, I don't know if they would let you order 260 again, or if they would make you order the full half load.
Well, if you bought the 260 and then 3 or 4 months later you needed another 15 garbage cans, you'd have to buy a load.
You're gonna have to pay
Anyhow.
$1,400 in freight.
And if you look, the freight price is the same.
Yeah.
I want to back this conversation up. When you first started, GFL collected how many 96 gallon dump
We don't have an actual
And
count.
they were ours.
The contract states that they belong to us.
That's what the contract states.
In the RFP that was, the original contract of 2016 stated that at the end of the term, the cans would belong to the town. In 2020, late 2020, we put out an RFP for another trash contractor, and GFL, they had taken over for WCA.
Right.
They bid on that contract again. In the RFP, they wanted that language changed to, at the end of the term, it would belong to them. The thing is the actual final negotiated contract, that language didn't get added. And Skip at GFL keeps telling me and Scott, it's in the RFP, it's in the RFP. And I'm not a lawyer, but my characterization of that is not in the legally binding document that you negotiated and signed, which is the contract. The RFP is just a bid document. They put a ton of stuff in there that they wanted, concessions they wanted. We didn't approve all of it. So just because it says that in the RFP, my opinion is that is not binding. To me, it would go back to the original 2016 contract that says that.
Mr. Scott, what's your opinion?
No, Ryan and I have talked about this, and it was not the cleanest way to do it, the way it was done, but they specifically referenced, they put language in there that says all the provisions of the RFP get incorporated into the agreement, then they would be right. But they actually, in the amendment, and there's multiple amendments, but in the amendment, it referenced certain provisions of the RFP. And the provision that contained that language isn't one of the provisions that's referenced in the ultimate last agreement.
The amendment says, this also will include RFP pages 7, 8, 9,
This and this. So-
None of the pages they referenced in that amendment contain the language about cans.
Now, the recycle container is different. The recycle container, I think, clearly says that they get the recycling container. That's a different issue.
And the total cost of the 96 cans is 96 gallon,
The 96 gallons.
$17 grand?
$17,552 for the half load, the full thing. and then 260 cans is $13,455. Now, maybe you order 260 and you pass them out and that's it. And there is language in the piggyback contract that says if a new customer comes on or if the cans are damaged or lost or whatever, the FCC will replace them. And Mike at FCC even told me that. He said eventually we will have to order some cans for you guys for new customers and whatnot. So maybe the 260 gets you to that point without having to spend the extra $4,000.
So the most they could have picked up was 300 and something,
They
correct?
didn't pick up the
Okay, so it's not going to be worth to even argue the fact.
No, it's not.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Yeah, they only pick,
That's all I want
they
to know.
kind of picked and choose who they
And listen,
cans they got.
I emailed Skip because there are multiple residents in town who, residents contract directly with GFL, they pay directly to GFL. They don't contract with, what I mean, they open their own account.
Yeah.
Well, some people have paid quarterly through the end of March, some people have paid annually.
Yep.
So I just reached out as a courtesy to our residents to GFL and I said, how do these people go about getting a refund? Do they contact you? Do they contact customer service in Texas? I mean, they're not getting the full service that they paid for, and surely they're entitled to a refund. And I tagged Scott in that email to Skip. He has not bothered to right. And they also came and got our roll-off to the airport, which they didn't tell us they were going to do this week. So they're being lovely about it.
Okay, getting on with the business. Recycle bins. Doesn't the house waste and all recycled items end up at the same place at the landfill?
According to FCC,
It does not?
anyone else can chime in, but they pick it up separately, it's sort of different. It's what they call blue stream recycling. I'm not an expert in it, so I don't.
But according to people that work at Solid Waste off 44, that was a ongoing show. Why do people do this recycling when it all ends up in the same place?
Well, that's what I would like to find out, because we could save $7,800 on
Yes.
recycle bins.
The only way I know to find out for sure is
There's
to
no
make an
sense.
appointment and with somebody and go over there
See it.
and see it. And I can do that.
Why don't you?
I will.
Because there's no sense in paying $7,800 if it's all going to
I
the
don't
landfill.
recycle, so
I
I don't
recycle.
need one.
All of it goes in the same can.
Same. Yeah. So see, there's two we don't need, me and Jimmy.
I will. I will.
And we could at least save $7,800.
And you may be able, I mean, I don't know if you can buy those at like Home Depot or Lowe's, but you could always tell residents that it's up to them to get their can.
Yeah,
Just so you know, the biggest complaint right now is recycling.
is recycled.
Everybody's
Every
upset that
phone
they took their
call.
recycling bin.
Believe it or
Not
not.
upset about the trash can, they're upset about the recycling bin because they want the cans in their glass bottles and their.
Well,
just whatever you
let's find
decide.
out. Let's
Yeah.
find out if it is recycled.
If they
it is, that's
actually
fine.
recycle.
If it is recycled, I'm okay with it. But I'll be darned if I'm okay with it if it ends up in the landfill.
If it just gets piled in the same
That's
pile of
just throwing-
garbage, then
That's throwing
I'm not
good
up
money
to
away.
it. I'll try to see if I can find a contact over there and go find
Go
out.
explore one day.
Yeah,
In the meantime, I'm more worried about the 96
Yeah, we need 96 gallons, yeah.
exactly. Because in the
That's-
meantime, they can put their stuff in the 96 gallon.
Yes. Yeah, we need to get those 351 of them. FCC is, what did you say FCC was doing? 260 something?
No, 260 something, they agreed to only sell us 260. Usually their minimum order is 351. But FCC called the Sierra Container Group and said, listen, the town of Pierson's kind of in a bind, they really only need this many. Can we get this many? And so they agreed to sell us 260 if we just wanted 260.
Oh,
But I looked at the cost difference between the two, and I was
Yeah.
like, well, do we, do you want to have extras in case people want to buy one, or
Do we need the 260 right now to replace the ones that
Approximately.
that,
So that's my question.
the other
What
people
happens
picked up?
if you go 280, you need 20 more, and then you got to do another order?
Let's go ahead and get the,
I think we need to go ahead and get the 351, and that way we have some extras if we need them, and we'll be
Well,
covered.
as long as they're stored out of the weather, every time
they'll be
someone
fine.
builds a house or puts up a trailer, we'll have a trash can for them. SCC can just get them from us and pass them out. So that's kind of the way I look at it.
You want to put that in the form of
I make a motion that we go with Sierra Container Group and purchase 351 95-gallon rollout carts at a price of, $17,552.02.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Greenland to go ahead and purchase the 351 95-gallon Sierra rollout containers for the amount of $17,552.02. Is there a second?
I'll second it, damn it.
Seconded by Councilmember Lenny Richardson. Would you do a roll call vote on this, Yvonne, since for the amount?
Councilwoman Brandy Pierson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Louise Richardson.
Yes.
Councilman Jimmy Anderson.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Yes.
And Mayor Ray Leonard.
Yes. Let the record show that it was passed by a roll call vote. All right. Moving on. Get this here. Item number 5I, blood drive mobile vehicle at the town center, and Vice Mayor Robert Greenland.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was contacted last week in regards to this One Blood, I think is the name of it.
That's the mobile blood
Mobile
thing,
blood
right?
mobile. For years, once a year or so, they would come to town hall, the bank, and do a blood drive. And the lady's name that I spoke with was Angela. I'm sorry I didn't get her last name, but anyway, she called in regards to see if they could not start doing the blood drive again here at our new town center. And I told her that I'd bring it up at our next council meeting, so I'm bringing it up.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, I believe, yes.
Anybody you know at some point in their life
You'll need
will be
blood.
touched by a donation
Oh, yeah.
of somebody's blood.
Well, I have her number, so I can call her and have her contact Town Hall, and I'm sure she'll be very
We
happy.
can put them in that east end of the parking lot.
Oh, we
They'll be
can-
out of
yeah.
the way of the day-to-day
I think it's an
traffic.
excellent thing to do, and I think the community would appreciate it, and
I
hopefully
think so
people
too,
will, respond.
Do we need to put this in the form of a motion?
Unless they require it.
I don't think so. I mean, I just
Consensus?
let the blood bank come.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
I'll call her tomorrow morning and let her know to
I think
contact
that's a unanimous,
Town Hall.
opinion by
Yes.
the whole council, so, yeah.
Good deal. Thank you.
I think it'd be a good thing.
Yep.
All right, moving on to item number 5J, it's a truck discussion for Public Works, and Nichols is in need of a truck.
Bless you.
Bless you. Chris is in need of a truck. His truck has died, and we have several quotes here on different vehicles. We have Fords and Chevrolets, and so
I'll kind of real quick. So, Florida Sheriff's Association has a statewide purchasing contract for municipal vehicles. So, there's two stacks here in your thing. One stack is 3 Ford dealerships that are on contract. I reached out to all 3 of them. Basically, the prices are for the exact same vehicle. It's a 2026 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive with a service bed or a service body on it. So you can see the 3 quotes there. The primary vendor, Bozarth Ford, grand total $55,900. $55,498, Garber Ford, $54,900, and Coco Ford, $59,191.75. Couple notes on that. Everybody I have talked to at Chevy and Ford, those service beds they're having stop issues with them. So everyone I have talked to, you're talking 12 to 26 weeks to get your truck customized with the service. Bozard Ford I talked to this afternoon, he said they don't have them in stock. He's called everybody he can think to call. He said the people that do have them are not giving them up because they can't get them either. So he tried calling around to see if he could find one for us. But he said they're just in low supply right now. So that's just something to keep in mind. So that's
That price is with the bed on it.
yeah, so the price on here is.
It's Chris's truck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Chris, right now, he's only got, 1,500, so these are, this is a Ford 250. and
Oh, it's a
step up.
It's
It's a
a
250.
3/4 ton.
Yes,
No, it's 1 ton.
an F-350.
It's an F-350.
F-250.
So Greg got
That's
one.
3/4 ton.
Greg got one quote from Gary Owens, which is a prefix.
Okay.
So if you look at the last page of that, that's what that is. That's a Gary Owens quote for 6708. Basically the exact same bed and everything, but that's a Ford F-350 instead of the 250. But the rest of them are all 250.
I think the 250
I
would
think a
be
250 will get it done.
So that's the Fords, and then Chevy, same thing. Garber's their primary vendor with a bed, with the service bed on it, $57,915. Stingray, $56,831, and Carl Black and Orlando, $59,966. So the little summary page that I highlighted on the front, those numbers you see there, that's just the price of the truck. So once you add the service bed, they've all got different prices for installation and all that stuff, so that's where the variation comes in on a lot of it. And then, like I said, pretty much everybody I talked to, Stingray Chevy told me it's approximately 12 weeks to build. Carl Black told me it's 26 weeks from the date of order. They're also the most expensive of
6 months. Good gracious.
What's wrong with putting the bed, the utility bed off from the Chevrolet on one? There's nothing wrong with that bed.
I mean, that's up to you.
I mean,
I know we have one, I just figured if you're getting a new truck.
Chris's truck, his existing truck was a half-ton. This is a 3/4 ton. I don't know what the frame,
I don't know.
The frame should all be the same.
Do you think we need a 3/4 ton truck?
Yeah.
What's he gonna be hauling?
Well, before, they used to haul all kinds of stuff for the fireworks. I know Chris's truck about got killed that one time that he hauled from Daytona, all the floats and all that stuff.
Well, I know too that
And then when they hauled that generator from...
Lewis had to pick that generator up with his half-ton truck that time, and it really took a toll on that thing.
Well, we should have one.
And
We
that-
should have one.
I think we probably need one.
We should have one.
One.
You're right.
I have one with four-wheel drive.
Yeah.
3/4 ton.
I agree.
I mean, I think the standard truck, a 1500 or an F-150 or whatever, I think would definitely be fine, but
The guys also said they take when they take the tractor to get service
Yeah.
up in
Yeah.
Hastings or whatever. Because I asked the same thing. With
yeah.
Do we even have a trailer big enough for that?
They seem to think, I don't know.
There's some reason we don't take it up.
I think
They come and
typically
get
that
it,
they come
right?
get it. I don't
Yeah.
think we have a trailer big enough to transport that tractor on, do we, Jimmy?
Or a truck, I think.
We
but-
don't have a trailer, no,
Big enough to haul that
We
tractor.
don't have a truck.
I didn't think so either.
but we've borrowed trailers
Yes.
to haul the tractor.
But we just don't have a truck really that's big enough to do that.
Lewis's truck is now 21 years old, and or Chris's truck, I'm sorry. Well, Lewis's is too, they both are. They're both 2005, so Lewis's will be next.
Is the time on getting a new truck the same between the Ford and the Chevrolet? They're both out
with the
6
bed on,
months?
They're all about 12 weeks, so about 3 months.
3 months out.
but without the bed, probably could get one a lot quicker.
But you have to
Provided,
make sure
provided
it's
that utility bed would fit the new frame, I mean.
We might as well go ahead and get a new one, get it all new.
That was my thought. I mean, if you're gonna, that bed we got is, I mean, it's probably still okay, but I just hate putting something like that on a brand-new truck.
Well, and
Well, that truck will sell like it is with that bed on it. Somebody will buy it and put them a new motor in it.
You'll have to auction.
It would definitely sell better than just a cabin chassis
Yeah.
would.
Right.
Yeah, I will tell you, when you go through these, by the way, if you ever go look at a state contract, there's 160 pages worth of options of stuff you can install, strobe lights, flashing lights, mirrors, cameras,
Yeah.
you name it. Same with beds. There's an 8-foot bed, an 8.5-foot bed, a 9-foot bed, a 9.2-foot bed. I mean, so would his bed fit one of these? I don't know. It's 21-year-old.
You know what I just thought of? In the toolboxes up against the cab, right?
Yeah.
There's some pretty nice ones out there, big, tall drawers for probably 1,500 versus how much is this utility?
10 or
10 or
11.
11 grand.
Yeah. I mean, we all have wants and needs, but this might be something we could explore without spending 12 grand on a utility bed and getting a nice in
For
bed
$2,500.
toolbox, yes. I don't know, something to think about.
But we need to think quick on it because he needs a truck.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, he's using his truck right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
We
we
need
got
a
it.
truck.
Yeah.
We need a truck. We need one yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, can we get our hands on just a truck?
I have to ask. I was asked to do one with service beds, so that's what I asked for.
I'm sure you can buy a 2,500 truck
Why don't we do this?
stock.
Well,
Where we going, where can we get a bed? Is my
That's what
question.
I'm saying. Get the 2,500 with the
just get a
stock
stand,
bed.
she's talking about a standard pickup
No,
truck.
where can we get a
The boxes?
The boxes,
A box
a box,
for it?
yeah.
Tractor Supply has them. A lot of places carry them.
The
I
only
mean,
reason,
for 12 grand, it's something to maybe.
the only reason I
explore.
think we need a utility bed on one of those trucks is so we can have all the necessary stuff there that's easily accessible
Yeah.
when they go out to
It's-
do work, instead of
it's
trying
got
to get
to
up in
have
the bed
a-
of a truck and empty half the toolbox out to get what you need.
No, it's got to have a utility bed on it.
That's what I think
We
too.
got to have one truck.
We need one truck.
Right.
Right.
We only have one that has that.
Yes.
And Lewis's, does his have the little toolboxes mounted to the sides? No.
Lewis has just got a regular toolbox in the back of his truck,
Regular.
if I'm not mistaken.
No, he's got two on his, one on each side.
Yeah.
Okay.
we've got one
They
on
just
the
set in the bed, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And they will work.
Justin's just a flat.
flat.
With a little metal box on the back.
But
But I think for the main service truck, we need something with a utility bed.
Let's find out if we can
go ahead.
outsource the utility bed and not have to go with a Ford or Chevrolet. And then,
Can't we look through this more at our workshop? We have a workshop Thursday.
yeah,
I think we can. I mean,
maybe
2 days.
between
I mean,
now
we're
and the
gonna have
workshop,
to
we can find
find-
something out.
Right.
Yeah.
More
Between now and-
information out.
Yeah.
So we are still looking for a utility bed though.
I
On
think,
one.
yeah, on Chris's truck.
Just getting one.
So what?
We're getting a truck.
One truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's there to find out then if we're getting one truck with a utility bed? So one of these trucks that we have here?
I guess my question is, if you price the utility bed separately, is it gonna cost any less, and then you gotta have someone install it, right?
Yeah, you gotta have somebody install it.
My opinion is if we're gonna buy a new truck with a utility bed on it, it needs to be ready to roll
When it gets here,
when it gets here.
I agree. I agree.
FYI, we probably are just gonna pay for this, I'm assuming out of reserves, and just pay reserves back. Rather than finance it, because if you finance it, you're gonna pay interest on it.
Oh, yeah.
So just give yourself a no interest loan.
We'll make the, right, we'll
That's
give
what I'm
ourselves a
thinking.
no interest loan and repay it back.
And to me, it doesn't really matter whether it's a Chevrolet or a Ford or
No, me
GMC or
neither.
whatever. I mean, you can get a good one and a bad one in any of them.
Well, like I said, these are all the same. They're, because the way the contract works is they have to sell you the identical truck, basically. So really, the only difference in pay is what they're charging for the bed and the install. Because the truck, I mean, it's the same truck. So, in other words, your cheapest Ford is $54,900 at Garber Ford, and your cheapest Chevy is Stingray 56, but also, well, he told me 12 weeks, so that's probably about what it's gonna be to get that.
The Chevrolet's 12, or 56 grand?
Stingray Chevy 56, 831.27.
831. Ford Chevy.
How much was that?
The Ford was 54.9, and the Chevrolet was 56,831.
Basically 56.9 in round numbers.
Let's go.
About $2,000.
Let's go with the Ford.
That's the
Yeah.
cheapest one.
Yeah, cheapest
All
one.
Best price.
Best price.
So do you wanna make a motion for that, and then the caveat being, as long as they can get it within a set time frame? Because Garber didn't tell me one way or another, but I don't wanna order it and then say, okay, well, in 26 weeks, we'll have your truck ready.
Right.
No.
Let's make sure that it's a reasonable turnaround time, maybe.
Well, I think we ought to go with the Ford, but we should expect some type of a reasonable turnaround time frame, and not somewhere between 12 and 26 weeks. I mean, they need to
Yeah, not 26.
do a little
Not 6
better than that.
months.
We need to get it as soon as possible.
One of the Ford places will get it quicker than the other,
Yeah.
because they can get rid of it. So, yeah,
Well, I think the problem is not the truck. I think the problem is the utility bed.
It's the bed. They've all got trucks. It's the bed.
They all got.
Yeah, the bed is what they can't get, having a hard time getting.
Maybe we'll get lucky and Garber.
Well.
wants to leave it sitting there.
Okay, we need to put that in the form of a motion then to go ahead and, with Garber Ford for 54,000. Was 54.9 even?
54.9. So moved.
Motion on the floor by Vice Mayor Robert F. Lehman to go with Garber Ford for our new vehicle, including the utility bed for a cost of $54,900. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Jimmy Anderson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
So carried.
I'm just not a Ford man, I'm a Chevrolet man.
I know it. Well, I am too, but the last
Me too.
3 trucks, Chevy trucks I've had transmission problems, so I
Me
don't
too.
care what we go with.
It don't make
I
no
think you can get a good one and a bad one and any of them.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention that too. If you look at the warranty is also pretty standard across all the trucks on this contract. It's pretty general. 3-year, 36,000 miles basic, 5-year, 60,000 mile drivetrain. But pretty much all, both Ford and Chevy.
Okay.
Well, Dodge didn't have
It took me a lot of time to.
I know, just to do that, but I mean, Dodge doesn't do that with,
No, they're on there. I mean, you can get a state contract for them, a Toyota, or whatever. I mean,
I know the Dodges has been holding up a lot better than most trucks here lately.
I just figured we had a Ford and we had a Chevy, and I just, I picked.
That's fine.
I didn't bring 12 quotes in as well.
I was just curious.
And price wise, they're all pretty, I mean, they're all within $2 or $3 grand of one another.
Right.
For a similar size truck, so.
All right. Moving on to 6 other business updates and reports by the mayor. I'm going to forego that and ask the vice mayor if he has anything.
No, sir.
The only thing we have is the blood drive, right?
Right, yeah, the blood drive was what I had, but we've already taken care of that.
All right. Councilmember Jimmy Anderson.
The only thing I was hoping over there at the, cranking up the new well today, I went over there and it didn't seem to work out. I finally left from over there just before Brian did, but he said they didn't get to crank it up, and they said they was going to today. So maybe the next day or two, maybe they'll
Oh, well, I'm
crank it.
hoping that
I've
thing
been
gets
wanting that
online
new
pretty
well
soon. That we've been sitting on
crank
that
up.
thing for a long time.
But
Is that it?
that was all I had.
Councilwoman Lena Richardson?
Yes, thank you. So we have adopted the ordinance for the RVs, right? So I think we need to start thinking about what we're going to charge people for these violations. You know, we make all these ordinances and we pay for advertising and we pay attorneys and we pay Mark. And then we create these things
And there's no
and we never enforce anything. Does that need to be an agenda item to discuss fines and so forth? Yes, okay.
It would become part of that RV ordinance, wouldn't it? How that would work?
Well, typically, cities have mechanisms to enforce all codes, not something that you don't set out a fine for each code you set forth. Typically, code violations are up to $250 a day for first-time violations, $500 a day for repeat violations up to. But it's the enforcement mechanism that y'all don't have. You know, you don't have a special master, you don't have a code enforcement board. That kind of leaves going through county court, which is not that's probably the most expensive way to do it, to be honest with you. But there's not a good way. There's problems with all of them. You know, anytime you have code enforcement, it's you're going to make people unhappy no matter what you do. And sometimes you get people on you get code enforcement boards that can become very political type entities on their own. Special master. A lot of people have gone to that, but you got to find an attorney that's able to serve in that capacity. Typically, it's an attorney or retired judge that'll serve in that capacity. And it's better to have one that doesn't live in this community. So that's typically how they're all enforced. And it's all done by ordinance. You adopt an ordinance creating the code enforcement board process is set forth under state law. But a lot of cities will use that same process, but just put a special master.
So we have a DRA, right? That was what we...
What is the DRA?
It's the Development Regulations Administrator.
Right.
It's the process that's in our land development code. It was basically redone under Christian. So we don't have a standard code enforcement process like you have in most towns. So Yvonne, as the clerk, is the DRA, and she's responsible for carrying out investigations. She can delegate that to somebody, if it requires specialization, but Yvonne's responsible for...
But who ultimately determines if somebody's in violation or not?
The DRA.
DRA does. So DRA investigates and makes a decision?
Doesn't
investigate.
Right.
She doesn't investigate.
There's an
She can,
appeal
she can
process.
delegate.
The actual fine gets imposed, but she doesn't have the ability to impose a fine, right? You do a finding, though, of whether there's a violation, correct? We'll have to go through this. It's
I'll read through the code and see what it says. But maybe that will work. Maybe we need to tweak it. Ultimately, somebody, do you have to give the person due process? You just can't say, hey, you're fined. They got to be able to, and some cities do it like a ticket. They'll have their code enforcement officer issue a ticket, and if you want to contest it, then there's a body you can go to contest it. Otherwise, you could pay the ticket. Those are usually done for violations that get repeated, corrected, and repeated again quickly, like parking an RV. Hey, you can't park here. They move it. 2 hours later, they put it back.
Put it back.
Yeah, type thing. So the ticket process could work for that. You issue, in essence, a citation, but they either pay it or they have to, if they want to, they can appeal, and the question is, who do they appeal to? So,
We need to come up with some type of a mechanism to deal with this, because there's.
It is. We did.
But-
That's what he needs to, the DRA part. I mean,
I
that's,
understand that, but it's not happening. I mean, there's.
we haven't, I mean, what's part of it, have you turned in something to DRA that we haven't, we
Well, I've
haven't
just
used
noticed
the DRA process so far, right? I'm just asking for
Well,
clarification for my.
I just see there's one particular area in Pierson where there's a lot of people moving RVs into that they're living in,
Right.
and,
I'm not disclosing that either. I'm talking about the DRA part. That's the part that would enforce the fines. We already have all of that in.
This is what happens, and this is where we don't understand what the follow-up is. So someone comes and makes a complaint. Yvonne has the DRA, talks to Mark or whoever, and we look at our land development code and we go, okay, is what they're doing a violation? If it's a violation, Yvonne sends a letter, certified letter or whatever, and we say, you're in violation of this code. You got X amount of time to rectify this, or you could be fined. If they don't rectify it, it kind of dies there. Because what is the process then? How do we find them? Are we?
And that's all
That's
that
where it stops.
that's where we stop
That's
with the
where
DRA stuff?
Because most people get that letter and they just throw it in the trash, or they don't, they say they didn't read it, or.
I thought we did something with the fines going to the magistrate for Volusia County. I mean, I thought that we did more with this.
I thought that it would go to someone with the counties.
Yeah, we
To-
went
to-
through all of that. I just didn't know if we didn't
I know
approve it or.
So one of the things.
County was the trespassing. The county
That
was
was
the.
trespassing.
yeah.
And Christian made it sound like he had already discussed that with the county. So we wrote the trespassing ordinance and said, if someone gets trespassed, they have an appeals process. Who would hear the appeal? And so we wrote an ordinance with the previous attorney, and he said if there's an appeal, it would go before special magistrate, and that could be the code enforcement board in each county. Well, before we put this on the agenda for second reading, I reach out to the attorneys on the code enforcement board, and they're like, well, we discussed this with him, but we don't have an agreement. And so I reached out to them 3 different times and said, have we considered this? Is this something we can have a discussion about, an interlocal agreement? They've never gotten back to me. So there was never actually a formal agreement. It was a phone call he had that didn't go anywhere.
And I think in that discussion, I know I was in discussion with Ryan, I said, well, if we can use the county's special magistrate or their code enforcement process for the hear the appeal, can we send all our code violations there too? I mean, and then that would open up an avenue where, okay, everything goes there, and that would be a good avenue. I have a question in my head about jurisdiction. They have jurisdiction of the unincorporated area, and so, but if they're good with it,
Yeah, well, I think that was the issue.
That was the issue.
Yeah, that would be my issue. Honestly, the solution I have, and y'all won't like it, is I'd bring it back to y'all.
Well, I think that is what happens in the land development code. We've not really gone through that process, but
Yeah.
that is what happens.
It comes
Read
back
the
here.
land development code, it comes back here.
And y'all have to make a decision. Now, also understand, when you do the code enforcement and you levy the fine and all that stuff, if it's homestead, it's going to do absolutely nothing, because you cannot go and collect on homestead. So it's really, the code enforcement really works for non-homestead property. For homestead property, it's a problem every jurisdiction has, where people will just live in their house and they'll thumb their nose and they'll get hundreds of thousands of dollars of code fines and they don't care. And There's nothing you can do. You cannot foreclose on it.
You can't.
Nope. So you get to the point where you either have to, I mean, if the person is
So what
living
happens
in
when they
such
sell? Is
squalor
they
and
come
unhealth,
speak to you?
you Baker Act the person, or you can try to condemn the house, have the person removed. You hope they get foreclosed. I mean, these are all things I've dealt with before, and I've dealt with it when you have a house and the person dies and squatters go in, but the bank won't foreclose because they don't want the property back. That's a hard thing to deal with, because even if, a lot of times you get property that you can do something with, because it's not homestead, but there are tons of liens and judgments that are ahead of your code enforcement lien. So if you go and spend money to foreclose, all those get paid first. You know, there's a priority in terms of recording. We don't get, it's not like an unpaid tax lien that gets super priority status. Whenever our code lien gets recorded, that we're in line and we're behind whoever else is ahead of us. And typically when people allow their property to get to a state of deterioration like that, they got a whole bunch of other problems too. They got IRS liens, they haven't paid their taxes, you know, all kind. They got sued and judgments. And so a lot of times you end up. It's not you. If you can break even on code enforcement, you're doing stellar, because it doesn't work too well. I mean, in terms of revenue generating, you can eventually get people to come into compliance, but homestead is really, really hard to deal with. It just, and if that's where most of your problems are, just trying to be realistic. Yeah, we can go through the code enforcement process and everything else, but at the end of the day, we'll end up with a judgment that's recorded on the property, and that's it.
And that's it.
And that's it.
So, I hate to say it, but it's almost like an honor system. You hope that if you send a letter, someone just wants to do the right thing, and go, hey, I gotta bring some compliance, is really what you're saying. Some people comply with it, and then some people just don't.
Well, also understand that when you record a code enforcement lien, when you record it, it's not judgment. So if that person happens to own any other property in the county, when you record that code enforcement lien, it's not just a lien on the property with a code violation. It's a lien on any property they own in the county. So there's a benefit there. You've had that occasionally. We've been lucky where, call it luck, they try to develop a piece of property in another city, and they got to deal with our code.
They got to deal with that lien before they can do
Because
anything.
we're not releasing it until you deal with your problems in our city, which we can't otherwise make you do. Now, you can go ahead and pay off the whole code enforcement lien, but don't ask for relief, you know. And in some cities, I don't support it, but ultimately it's your decision. Cities will cap code liens because they don't like these things getting to, Daytona does it, and I've talked to them about it. It gets to like $200,000-$300,000, and they say, well, if you take away everybody's equity in their property, they have no incentive to come into compliance. And my response is, well, once you cap it, they have no incentive to come into compliance either, because the fine's not getting any bigger. We always reduce them. Holly Hill's doing that all the time, like reducing fees. Fines down to, they'll have a $100,000 fine, they'll reduce down to $5,000, just to collect, their costs and everything to get the property off. But we don't release the fine until you come in and you pay and you bring it in. You got to be in compliance, and then you also got to pay the agreed upon amount. But I will look at the process that's in our code and talk with staff about something, and maybe Brian will reach back out to the county. If we can send all of our code cases to the county, we got to see how much they'll charge us for that, but that may be an avenue that we go. Yeah, like I said, I'm just worried about jurisdiction, that's all.
Yeah, just understand that you guys would have to go appear before the board and present the cases.
Yeah, you would have to go, whenever they meet, somebody would have to go down there and present the evidence to the special magistrate to prove the violation.
So, in other words, there's no win situation.
It's just a waste of a lot of money.
Yeah,
In other words, why the hell are we here?
that's right.
I didn't say
Wait.
that.
What else you got, Lenny? Anything
Why are
else?
we here?
Might not be after the property tax rate.
Correct.
All right, moving ahead, Council Member Brand.
The only thing I had is the vendor mart asked if they could do this month's vendor mart out here in the parking lot, and I just told them yes, because usually it's The library can't park over here?
They've been instructed.
Well, I'll go speak to the library girls. I mean, that's speaking to two people.
Yeah,
They just don't feel like they're getting noticed here,
likely
and
will
feel
out
like
there.
if they are here, they're just wanting to test it
They can
for
be
a
seen
month.
better from the highway and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
She using the big flag for her?
that's what I asked. She said she does when she, see.
I don't have a
And is
problem.
it just a one-time thing, or are you moving her over there permanent?
They want to try it for the month.
So it's going to be a one-time trial, and we'll.
I mean, and I get putting the library people over there, we're probably eventually gonna have to put our employees over there. I mean, Marcia and Levon, I mean, because this right here, when Rev's here, is jam-packed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You know, and to
sure
leave
is.
it all, instead of making them park over there, to have to walk over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
So-
probably eventually have to transfer
Eventually.
all of our town parking to
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Anything else?
that's it, that's all I have.
Scott, do you have anything
No.
else? All right.
All right, so-
Mark?
I'll be here March 19th to talk to people about land use and zoning.
9:30 to 11?
Yeah, 9:30 to 11:30.
11:30.
And I do understand that they're coming back tomorrow to work on the plans, so. Is that your understanding, Ryan, that they'll be back tomorrow?
They told me they scheduled 2 days, but I got conflicting answers from two people. Todd told me they were scheduled for 2 days. Sean McFarland at CWS told me that they told him they were headed back to Lakeland tonight and couldn't come back tomorrow because they had some other job.
Okay, so we'll see what's, okay.
We'll have to play that by ear in the morning. Anything else, Mark?
That's all I have.
Do you guys have any updates or
I have
anything?
one thing, and I was supposed to ask at the last meeting, but that was a 3-hour meeting, so I skipped it, so she might not even be interested anymore. Katie, Panland, Louisiana. I know her as Katie Ruth, so, but she called me the other day over at the clinic, the little property that we own next door to the clinic, there's a little metal shed there. She wanted to know, were we doing anything with that? If not, are we interested in selling it? Because she said that they could use it, because she saw us over there taking the fence down and cleaning up that property. I don't know what's in that shed over there. I don't know if that used to be a pump shed.
Yeah, it used to be a pump shed.
It was a pump shed, so is there no pump?
There's
shed
a-
anymore?
They just, there's no pump on it, it's just
Well, just a well,
just a well there.
well casing.
So she was.
And it's concrete, so-
So I don't know if we need to leave it there or if we're taking it out, but she wanted me to ask her about it.
Is it like a portable, is it a portable building?
I think
Yeah,
just like
it's a
one of
little-
those pretty bad metal sheds that they just set
Okay.
over. Yeah,
That they put together and.
Oh, it's, okay, so it's like they assemble it,
yeah.
like, okay.
Let's go check it out. Yeah, that well's not there.
Shed or?
No,
All there's
there ain't no pump or nothing there
concrete
now.
slab and the well casing.
Only things in there was,
Has it been capped? Do you know?
no,
The well's not capped? It'll have to be capped.
I think that well's gonna have to be capped before we move that shed, for sure. It should already be
Yeah.
capped.
I guess everything would be after the argument, so we're not
Yeah.
going to do what they're doing, because someone could easily get in the shed. They don't want to samples.
Yes, they could.
Do we need to get public works?
Yeah, we need to look at it, yeah. Yeah, need to look at it.
Let's look at it before
Let us,
we make a decision.
got to get the well capped.
And
for
get
sure.
that well capped before we make any decision on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with her getting it.
I wouldn't have a problem with
Yeah.
getting it either. I mean, it's just sitting there.
It's like rust.
Yeah. But we need to get that well capped before we do anything. So could you ask the guys if they could do that, Ryan? Cap that well on, or get them to do it? Anything else? Anybody in the audience have anything that they need to ask or talk about, or?
Okay. Nothing new on the water injection?
Well, I can give you a little update. Your county council failed y'all. They voted 4-3 to not do a charter amendment or do an ordinance for the unincorporated areas of our county. So I'm still out there trying to do the good fight and collect enough signatures so we the people can have a say. We've got a couple thousand already signatures, and we need 22,000 signatures in order to get it on the ballot. So I'm working at that, along with running my campaign to support you good people. I did hear that Deltona's one permit did lapse. Now, I don't know if that was a permit to do the drilling necessarily, or what it was for, but they've already been funded from our good state of Tallahassee up there. $2.5 million is in the bank, so they're not going to give that money back, I would bet. So I'm not sure where the permits lie, what their true intention is, but we are trying to get a stay on Deltona so that they cannot move forward with that deep well injection. And let's see, I think that's probably it for that.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
did try, I reached out to Chair Brower, and I was in touch with Lenny about your truck situation, and I was sorry to hear that, I guess you guys didn't really get anything that was used, or so I was hoping that they had some used and needed used, but, so I was kind of working in the background for that, but new truck it is.
New truck it is.
Yep. All right, we have some events here in Pierson. I want to announce, the main one is our Pierson Vendors Market. It's going to be on March the 21st, and it's going to be obviously over in our parking lot. And that's going to be from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And I want to make everybody aware of the following meeting schedule dates. Next regular council meeting is going to be on Tuesday, March the 17th, at 6:30 p.m. And the next will be on Tuesday, April the 7th at 6:30 p.m. There's a planning commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March the 24th, 2026 at 6 p.m. One last chance. Being no further business, the meeting is adjourned.